Hello everybody and welcome back to X4, or welcome to X4 if you are new to the game. Today I'm going to be talking to you about actually starting a game on X4 and where you should be going. Now, for new players, people who have never played the game before, your screen will look slightly different to mine, and there will be a few little differences that obviously I can't show you because I've had the game for quite some time now. So the first one, the major one, is that you get more prompts when you first open the game, and it guides you to the tutorials. I would recommend playing the tutorials just so you can actually get a feel of some of the commands and some of the things that are on it, and it obviously talks through how to get yourself moving about. So it is worthwhile doing. However, from there, once you've completed whatever tutorials you want to complete, or if you want to keep going back to them and learning bit by bit, you're going to be wanting to actually play the game. Now, with timelines, now that everybody is being introduced to the game during the timeline period, there is an additional game mode on the game which has never been seen before, and that is a bit of a scenario based or an arcade based style gameplay within the game of X4. X4 still remains the sandbox game it has always been. Timelines gives you an arcade mode to introduce you with new sectors and new ships that you need to that you are rewarded by completing set scenarios that you need to complete. The scenarios, personally, I feel are quite difficult for new players. They do recommend that you can play Timelines as a new player. Yes, you can, but it's going to be very hard. However, all you need to do is complete them with 1 star, and then that scenario is technically complete, and if there's any unlocks or anything on it, it will unlock for you, and that's it. You don't ever have to do it again if you don't want to, or you can challenge yourself throughout your gameplay to try and get better. So that's your timelines, which looks like something like this. You get a restart or a continue. Obviously this will be start timelines if you are brand new to it. That's that box stuff. If you want to play it, play it. Personally, I wouldn't as a new player. I'd get myself in my own sandbox and start playing for a little bit just to kind of get a feel for the game. Now, before we continue, people have asked, what DLC should I buy if I want to play if I want to play X4 and get the best experience as a new player? Personally, I think the only one that you're going to need is the one that includes the actual Terran side of thing, which is the Cradle of Humanity here. The reason why I say that is because, realistically, personally, I believe the best start in this game, if you want to have your hand held a little bit and get going and learn the game a little bit, it is the Terran Cadet, which you will note on my game here, it does have a star next to it which says this game start is recommended for new players. That being said, if you bought all the DLC, you can start on any of these. These ones will be your first ones that you'll have, depending on which ones you buy. The second one appears once you get so far into that gameplay, and then you can actually use them ones. Personally, Terran Cadet is the best starting option for new players. Emergency is another good starting option. Or the Young Gun, if you've just got the basic standard game and you haven't got any DLC, is realistically going to be your best one. The Young Gun has no hand holding whatsoever. It is literally jump in a ship and do whatever you want to do. The reason that is because a lot of players have asked why you're just thrown into a universe and not given your hand holding, is because this game is a sandbox game, open for whatever you want to do in terms of playing a game. And a lot of people do sometimes forget that, and they're like, well, there should be a bit of a guide on to what to do. Well, the game can't really tell you what you should or shouldn't be doing, because it's down to you. If it tries to guide you, it'll guide you into one path, and you may want to have a mixture of paths. For example, you may want to be a miner. You may want to sell your mining materials and just continue doing that for a while. You may want to be a trader and you want to just keep trading. You may want to then trade using AI, or you want to trade yourself all the way through it. You may want to build massive stations. You may want to do a lot of game like this. So it tries not to hold your hand in doing stuff like that. However, I'm going to pretend you don't have any DLC because the Terran Cadet one is a bit more handholdy, and it will guide you through the first starts of the missions and then leave you at the end of that with being able to do whatever you want to do. I will make special note that there is a custom game editor. Personally, I would use the budgeted if you are a new player. It will allow you to do only so much because obviously you haven't unlocked anything. And if you want to see more about that, then you can see that in one of my other videos that I've done earlier about it. And there's obviously the creative one where you can just add everything you want. The creative one is good if you want to just mess around and have a feel for everything that there is in there, and then you can make your decision on what you want to do afterwards. And then there's the station design simulator, which does exactly what it says on the tin. Well, I'm just going to jump into the Young Gun one now, and I'm going to just throw you a couple of pointers to get going, and hopefully you can start playing your game. And then, fingers crossed, you can kind of pick up from there. Okay, so as commented earlier, you are just literally thrown on a dock and left to it. You'll note in the bottom left it says 1 inactive missions, because you do get a mission. From here, you can press your escape key, and it will bring you to your normal menu. And you can also use this to then drop into the sub-menus, as you so wish. Or you can just press the M key, it will also bring you to it as well. Now, whilst you're in this is going to be your main screen here. You can zoom out by using your mouse wheel, and obviously you'll see yourself. You've got a couple of sectors that you know. That's it. That's about as much as your universe is going to be at this stage. Now, whilst you're in this, there are a couple of things that I want to point out that will help you get started. It's going to be the mission offers and mission manager. Mission offers will tell you if there's any missions in your nearby vicinity that you can detect, and the mission manager is the missions that you currently have. You'll notice that you've got an upkeep mission, which is your one mission you have, and it says acquire a captain. The reason why it tells you to acquire a captain is because the ship you start with does not have a captain to begin with, and if you don't have a captain and your ship goes bye-bye, as in like you jump out of it and it continues going off in a different direction, there's no stopping it. And at this stage you can't jump back into it either, because you don't have teleport. So the ship will go bye-bye and you're stuck in space for ages. So get a manager, he can then pick you back up, and you can continue on with what you were doing. So these are going to be your menus that you're going to use throughout most of the game. There is also another menu I want to point out, which is actually the legend. The legend is something that you're going to be relying on for a little bit, and then you start getting used to what everything is. Have a little bit of a read of the legend, figure out what everything is, because it is going to give you information that you're going to need, especially when you come to trying to make money. For example, what regions? Mineral gas or mineral gas regions, so you know where you can get your resources. You got all your jump gates and all of your connections and stuff like that, and obviously who's enemy, who's not enemy. The only one I'm going to point out of all of this is this that says enemy here. Just because it says enemy doesn't mean that they're going to directly attack you. Hostile is the only one that will directly attack you. Enemy will choose whether they want to or not, and sometimes they'll ignore you. More often than not, they will ignore you. The rest of the stuff here, stations. Good to know what all the stations are at a glance, because it'll tell you what they do. I won't go into detail about any of these at the moment, because these are more you trading stuff. But the important one you want to think about is the wharf, because that's going to be your small shipyard. And then obviously you got the larger one, the shipyard. The other thing you want to think about as well is these little icons here, which are here, person of interest. You've also got your faction representative here, which is definitely something you're going to need at a later stage, again, that we will cover. And obviously you got your mission offers and stuff like that as well. Obviously there is a lot here to kind of get your head around. They have really improved the legend now, so you've got a list of what everything is just at a glance. Again, it might be worth looking at something, because if you see that icon here and it's bright red, you need to start panicking. And then obviously you got all your other ones as well, all the way through there. You even got utilities as well. I love this addition to this. It makes it so much easier. And then obviously you got your other stuff like that, or your miscellaneous stuff like your towers. You've obviously mentioned that with faction representative and your person of interest as well. And then the last thing as well is that when you give out commands, there'll be stuff on the top right of your screen, sorry, of your target here. So if we had this, it'd have like a little icon here if it had a current behavior set, and that's what these all are. This is only when you've got yourself your captain and you give them an order, it will start telling you what they're doing at a glance. Again, something of interest to note. So that is something definitely worthwhile keeping an eye out. If you're wanting to make a little bit of money and you want to do a bit of trading, then you want to look at the trade filter, which is here. As you can see, while I click it, it does absolutely nothing, because all you're doing is turning the filter on and off. You want to go to your filter settings here. If you turn that on, it now becomes available, and you can now start adding and removing wares. Personally, if you're going to want to try and do a buy or sell stuff, then you can do just a select all wares and then press OK. And then you'll notice that it now gives us wares, and you can see what the availabilities are. You can see that there's bought wares there, and we can't really see much because all we've got is bought wares. We don't have much information, but obviously I just add remove all them so they're all off the screen. You can also obviously reduce, you can like change the pricing, the maximum pricing. You can change how many number of offers are, up to 5. You can also show the enemy trade offers if you want, and you can obviously change this down as well. So you can have a little bit of a fiddle about with it. Trades are good to make a little bit of early money, because your small ship will take a little bit of cargo. And again, if you want to know more about trades, we'll cover them. But I just want to point it here, because if you want to make yourself a little bit of money so you can do a little bit more, that is one way of doing it. Again, we still don't have any mission offers, and you want to keep an eye out on these lists here. The object list is everything that's in your nearby vicinity. If you zoom out, you'll notice that it populates more. It's basically roughly around where your screen shows. It's worth noting it, because it will tell you what's in the area, and if you need to worry about anything. The next one is your property owned, which is yours. Again, you've got sub-menus here to reduce down what you're selecting. So you can go to your stations and subordinates, your fleets, your unassigned ships, which is obviously your elite vanguard, any ships that have got inventory, so if you want to store your inventory, which I will discuss at a later date, and obviously any of your deployables which you don't have at the moment. Information, which tells you all the information you need to know. It can tell you about the sector. If you click off everything, it'll tell you the sector, what its workforce is, what bonuses to your sunlight there is, stuff like that. If you click on anything else, it will give you the general information of that, including any ships. Some things will be question marks because you haven't got close enough to scan them, and we haven't scanned this. So if you want to know more about that, then you get into your ship, scan it, and you will learn more. Hopefully you know about scanning if you've done the tutorials. If not, then I will show you what scanning is anyway. And the final one to just make note of is the managed plots, which for you right now probably won't be of any use because you won't have enough money to create a new plot, but this is how you're going to build your stations. So keep an eye on your menu, and keep an eye on the left hand side of the screen, because it'll tell you things like Antigone, Republic, Mountain Defense, in Second Contact 2 Flashpoint. That tells you that something's going on there, and there's potential for missions. Speaking of missions, the flight school has already taught you the basics. Yeah, it has, but I don't care. Take command of ship. I'm going to close that down. So, as soon as you jump into your ship, if you haven't got a captain, then good luck. Obviously, I've played it enough to not really worry about one just at the moment. You'll also notice now that when you put your cursor over any of these screens, apart from the trade one for some reason, I don't think it actually has a shortcut. You'll notice that it does give you the shortcuts. One thing I'll note, which is a little bit annoying for me, is the undock command. Shift D will undock your ship. if I actually get up as well, and say you're about to run. Now, sometimes when you run, for running for standard is double tap W and you'll run. For me, that plays a lot of games. I press Shift W, which, as you can see, doesn't do anything at all. I don't move because Shift is not the key to run. The other thing as well, if you forget and you press Shift W, you teleport back to your ship, which can be a little bit annoying if you just get around the corner from the representative or whatever it is you're visiting, and you teleport yourself back to your ship. But Shift W also is the undock command. From here, obviously, you've got your cursor, depending on what your settings is, but if your default settings, then you can press Shift and Spacebar, and it will give you steering mode. That's activated. Shift usually has all the commands that you need to unlock for shortcuts. For example, if I press Shift and Q, it brings up the menu. There are various commands that you can use. If you really want to know about them, you can just press Shift and start pressing loads of them, and it will kind of docking permission. That's Shift D, and it'll give you docking permission. Press it again, cancels it. Have a play around, see what you can do. What I would recommend is you don't do it inside the station. So you press your steering mode. You can remove it, that it tells you that it's activated in the menus as well. Now at the moment, I've turned off my auto rotate. If you're like this, I would recommend you turn the auto rotate back on, which you can do in the menu. There is shortcuts to it as well, but I'm going to show you just in case you forget. But if you go to your controls, you'll notice that there will be, if I go to the right one, game settings, auto roll on. You can change any of your ship's stuff here in the game settings, not the control settings. Control is what I was about to talk to next, which is why I pressed it first, so I apologise. Your game settings is where you change your ship behaviour stuff. You then want to go to controls, and if you go to general controls, you'll notice that you've got all the commands here. So the commands that I told you about with the shift commands will be in here. So if you do really want to, so for example, Shift and N, toggle direct mouse steering. Direct mouse steering is it's a bit, personally I'm not a big fan of it. So for example, as you can see at the moment, I have a cursor. So if anything pops up, I can click on it. If I press Shift N, you notice that there is no cursor, and there's also no lead on any of your things. You're directly steering, and you notice that it's kind of a bit if you ask me. Whereas if you do this, if I stop steering, I can use my mouse as normal, so I can click on things that are on the screen, I can target things, I can click on that ship, I can do whatever I want to do. It makes it a lot easier for me personally. Shift and that there, you get a lead on your cursor, so you can see where you can see the little circular thing. That's where my lead of my steering is. You'll also notice now I've got the auto rotate on. It will also rotate to the level plane of the universe. The universe does have a level plane. It doesn't make sense because we're in space, but it does make sense because we're in a game. But it just makes it a little bit easier for you, so you're always kind of facing the right way for all the stations. Doesn't work every time, but it works most of the time. It just makes it a little bit easier when you're first beginning. What I would recommend is you later maybe consider playing it without it, so then you can kind of be angled like so, and you can, you know, fly between things and do all your fancy flight. And it makes it a little bit easier when you do any races and stuff like that later. Okay, so you'll notice one thing that I haven't pointed out is that when I was inside the ship earlier and when we came out of the ship, things started turning blue. Now, if you remember when we were on the map, and I said about scanning, your ship has like a secondary scan mode, I should say. Something that works in the background, that when you get close enough, your ship will automatically scan the station. To get a better view, if you press Shift and 2, your screen will turn purple. You can now see that some of these have got like a little bit of a hue on them. The colours of them, if I turn it off, you'll see the colours actually change. There you go, you can see. They represent what they are. The yellow ones are build modules. That's why that there is a build module, and that there is technically a build module, even though that's also the dock. You've got storage modules. And if we continue flying around, you'll notice that everything to a colour. That's a connector, so that's just like a bit of a tertiary blue colour. Again, if we go over here, this one I believe should turn red. There you go, red it is, because that is a administration building, which is classed as defensive, and that will do everything for everything on all of the stations. That's a horrible word that I've just made up, so I apologise. But that will scan everything and give you an idea of what everything is at a glance. You'll also notice that I have scanned that, and that's kind of giving a blue off colour as well. That's just because of the angle we're at. You see there, they do have a bit of a blue hue. You'll also notice that we've already scanned one of these before. So that is already scanned blue. This one here is given the blue hue that I just mentioned a second ago because of the distance we were at and the lighting. Now it's yellow. You'll now notice that everything is the correct colour apart from that one over there, which we can have a look at later. Now, why would you want to scan them? Then question marks will now no longer be question marks on whatever it is you scanned. So if you scanned the storage modules that we have here, they are now populated with information that you can now know. The other thing as well is, at the moment I've got the sound removed because obviously there's a lot of talking on the menus and I don't want to cut it off. I'm going to now place the sound back on the game because we'll try and make the sound come back on the game, because now that I am going to show you the next stage, which is the bit that we're going to be working on. There we go. To move to the next stage, we're going to need sound. Makes it a little bit easier to find. Now, in the scan mode, you'll notice on these modules, you'll start to find things that flicker and flash. These are like, basically they're like damaged radio wave systems that are giving away missions. Now, if I show you on the map again, you'll see we still have no mission offers because we don't have anything on the map to give us mission offers. Once you populate your map a little bit more and you've got satellites that pick up signals, so basically anything that you have a physical view of, for example this nice crisp black or clear, whatever you want to call it, where you can see ships moving, stations nice bright and blue, none of this dark grey and none of the like that colour there where it's all like dull and stuff like that. That area there, I can pick any signal up in this area here. If I move over to here though, and I'm in this area here goes dark because I don't have a satellite. So once you start working on stuff like that, you'll start to pick up signals in them areas. Now, before we can do that, however, we want to get ourselves going with a couple of missions. So what you want to do is you want to get used to your flight. Take the things you've learned from your tutorials if you've done it, or if you've thrown yourself out there, then good luck. And you just want to keep flying around, and you want to look for anything that's these here. If you find these,
transporter B.
You want to take them out because one, they give you freebies, container items, and hopefully we'll get a little message in a second where we've helped the station, because that's illegal goods or somebody who's smuggling goods and stuff like that. You'll also notice that whilst you're in scan mode, you can pick up the things that are on the actual things, like these here.
Turret. Shield generator.
If you click on them, they will actually tell you what they are. There you go. And you can actually target them and take them out as well. So you don't actually have to blow the whole system. You can just take out turrets directly. However, you can see there are a lot of big... And you can see, even though my sound's just kicked out there, you can just see it's just said, thanks for your help. Okay, let's get that sound back on again. There we go. There we go. You'll have to excuse the audio at the moment. I have been playing with some new settings. But we want to move around and we want to try and now find anything that's of the unusual. Keep an eye out for sounds. And basically what we're looking for is radio waves. So if you just keep your speed down a bit, don't move too much, you will start to pick up on audio cues. And see, this station is rife with turrets. Some of the larger,
Docking granted.
some of the larger turrets you'll be able to avoid the fire on because you're a small ship. But the smaller turrets will probably take you out. We want to just keep flying around. Now, what I tend to do is stay in scan mode because one, it makes it easier to pick up on the signals, and two, you're also scanning the station.
Navigation. Prepare to dock. Affirmative.
Well, just keep flying around.
Permission to dock. Docking permission granted.
I think I heard.
Bring the ship in slowly.
I think I heard something there through the crappy talking. Yeah, I can hear something. There it is. So there are two signals because I can hear the second one as well. Alright, so that's how it sounds when you're close. Now if I just move back a little bit. There you go, can you hear that sound there? There you go. So it's like an electric discharge. You'll also notice on my HUD, if I show my screen there, you can notice that there's these icons here. That's picking up a radio wave because you're in scan mode. When you're directly looking at it, you'll notice it tells you you're directly looking at it. So we'll get close to it. You'll see it then starts to
One moment,
script.
please.
Press F.
If you are receiving this transmission, my plan is working. Now, I just need to dial in the Heretic's end coordinates and... Oh, I must go now. My captors will soon return, and there is so much more to prepare.
That is the main storyline. There are other signals that you can try and look for. So you can keep flying around. We picked up an audio sound earlier. Okay, if it was somewhere around here possibly. It may have been the same one that was just kind of bouncing off. Sometimes that does happen. If you just keep moving around, there is generally one, maybe two signals sometimes. I have found a second signal on a station, but generally you don't get much more than two. And again, we can just keep flying around and scanning these station modules anyway, so it gives us a better idea of the station. There is ways of doing stuff with that later, which I can cover. There we go, second signal. We can hear it. I think it might be further up here, possibly. There it is. So that's given us a commission. So you can see tech equipment, very small, offered by Argon Equipment, valid for 28 hours. And there is actually a third signal on here, so we're very lucky. There's a lot of signals on this one. Oh, this one's a mission.
Are you interested in a job?
There you go. So this is a job. So again, this is mission type, transportation, mission given by, and how difficult it is. And it gives you a little bit of a description, and it says pick up somebody and fly them to an unknown station. And that could be something really good to do. So I'm going to accept it just to show you what happens. So it then takes over whatever you were doing and makes that the primary mission, which you can change. If we press the M key, you can now go to your mission offers, and you can see, right, we've actually got a mission available because it's picked up one. But we can also then go to our mission manager, and work on ones that we already have work on. The one that's the bright orange one is the one you're currently guiding to. And then you can see the one that's the important mission, which you can set to active by just clicking that there, and it will upgrade your current active mission to go somewhere else. And it's as simple as that. That's about as easy as it is to get missions. So with all of that information, hopefully you can now get started with playing the game, and you can move forward from there. There is a hell of a lot more that we're going to go into, but right now I just want to get you out in your ship and you can get your missions and you can start on the main storyline. My plan is to start on the main storyline, which unlocks your HQ, which you may see me talking about in my previous videos, so then you can figure that out. But that's going to be it for this time. Let me know in the comment section if you've got any suggestions, ideas, if you've got anything that you really need to learn or study, or you want any help with anything, please let me know in the comment section and I will get on with them sooner rather than later, and hopefully give you the information you need to be able to get yourself playing the game properly. But until next time, everybody, make sure you hit that thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already done so you can keep updated on anything that I bring out, especially related to X4. And I shall see you all on the next one. Bye bye for now.